Hey everybody, Nat Daddy here with another review. This is the first in our series of looking at all the Star comics, that old kids imprint from Marvel. Lots of classic properties in there, especially if you're an 80s kid. Your Thundercats, your Silverhawks, your He-Mans, your Madballs, Care Bears, Muppet Babies. All those wonderful things were in there, and over just a 4-year period that it ran. So first off, we're going to look at the Thundercats. This is a Kickstarter thing that was out. I couldn't wait to get the Kickstarter in that, so I decided to jump into it and look at this on our own. I read all these as a kid as they came out. I was a big Thundercats fan of the show and the action figures, and the comic was awesome as well too. Most of the comics here are direct adaptations of many of the episodes from the cartoon, so that's why they probably all seem a little familiar. I like this here because it has all the original ads and comic advertisements in here as well too, so we'll quickly look at those as well too. So again, much like in the cartoon, it starts off with the Thundercats in space, escaping Thundera as it's about to explode. And again, we got Lion-O as a kid there. Some pretty good artwork in that, pretty faithful. I do like it quite a bit. Yeah, and it shows the planet blowing up, and it shows the Thundercats getting ready to head out into space to find a new place for everybody to live. And of course, we see Lion-O as a kid, not even able to lift the sword in that, and they're all going to get ready to go into that Cairo frozen sleep there to sleep for many years while they travel to the new planet, while the leader there, Jaga, pilots it for them. And obviously, with him being older, he's not going to survive. So I love all these old ads in here. I remember so many of these comics as a kid having the Oreo ads in there and that. Oreos and Bonkers and Fun Fruits, all kinds of cool stuff I'm sure we'll see. We see the cats here preparing for their trip and for landing. This is where they get introduced to their costumes and their particular weapons and that, so that's kind of cool. And then it shows them being attacked by the mutants. They have their little fight with the mutants in the starship and that. The mutants get fought off by the Thundercats, and then they, again, end up going into the sleep there to make the rest of the journey. Another one of these ads I was talking about, tons of Quick Bunny ads. I remember only when I was a kid, Quick Bunny, the chocolate syrup. There was strawberry syrup that I actually liked a little bit better as well, so... Cats are fighting mutants. They fight them off. Like I said, now they found this new planet here, this third Earth, where they're going to go to and going to start over. And like I said, in all these things, there was tons of ads for all the different shows and cartoons and that tied into these properties. The He-Man one, the She-Ra one. We will definitely be looking at the He-Man one in the future. So it shows all the Thundercats preparing to go to sleep there, and Jaga pilots them, and then kind of just does like the Yoda and Obi-Wan and that, just does the Thunderian force there and kind of fades away. They land and crash on this new planet, Third Earth, and they start exploring it. This is another one of those ads that was constantly in there. The 80s was great for a few things, and stickers was one of them. There was every kind of sticker you could think of when you were a kid in the 80s. Make your own stickers, smelling stickers, puffy stickers, changing color stickers, and then everything was also neon too, so it always had lots of like neon rings. And all right, so we see that Snarf finds Lion-O, and now he's an adult, and again, just like the cartoon in that, you got the mutants beaming down and coming across the rest of the Thundercats. They're still asleep there, and then Lion-O fights them off. This was one thing that I always thought was super cool in all comics, whether it was kids comics or regular comics as a kid, was seeing subscription stuff. And, all the different properties that were around like that. So this is one for the Star Comics and that, and it showed, we got special deals if you ordered stuff like that. And being Canadian, we never ordered stuff like that because they would never come to Canada and that. So I always wondered if, did any of you out there do subscription and that? Let me know in the comments if you did. So like I said, Lion-O's fighting off the mutants until the other Thundercats can get woken up, and they do get woken up there when the ghost of Jaga there tells Lion-O to use the sword of Thundera to wake them all up. And that's where we get the first of many iconic Thundercats yelling, Thundercats, Thundercats, ho. So another thing that was always in the comics, and that they had kind of like a news section of what was going on in Marvel at that time. Again, this stuff is mostly Star dominated, what's going on with the Star comics. And then a checklist they always had here as well too, that showed everything that was coming out for Marvel at that month. So it was neat to see what was going through there, maybe see if there's a few other things that you want, and quite a few of the books had a little write-up as well too, so that was always neat as well. That was half the, I wouldn't say half, but a lot of the fun parts as reading comics as a kid was the advertisements and the other displays and that in there. The mutants see the Eye of Thundera symbol there, and the Lion-O has sent out, and now the Thundercats all wake up and fight off the rest of the mutants. You get your usual cartoon antics in that there. And now they've all realized that they're on this new planet and they will need to survive and have to work together. Yeah. And then over here we see the mutants. They've come across this pyramid in the desert, which we all know is the pyramid of Mumra. And Mumra is introduced to them there as well. So lots of good art in here. Lots of great color. Back then this would have been kind of like on a comic newsprint, so that was pretty cool. And again, this was made for kids, so there's not a lot of people weren't taking care of these comics in particular back then. So it's hard to get these in high grade in that. This is another one that we'll be looking at in the near future here, Planetary. It's kind of like a futuristic, kind of like a Flash Gordon mixed with a Richie Rich type of atmosphere. So that's kind of cool as well. And again, lots of different ads in here for different kids stuff. Rainbow Bright and the Care Bears are both comics in here as well. And that's the end of it. All right, let's look at book 2 in the Thundercats. Book 2 here is more of the mutants attacking the Thundercats. We start seeing some new things in here like the Thunder Tank and that. And again, this is just pretty awesome art. Really, kind of faithful in that to the cartoon series. Yeah, we got the Thunder Tank here, this rumbling through the woods, and that's where they get introduced to the Robo Bears, which were kind of cool creatures, but it also had the most annoying voices of all time. If you know what I'm talking about, speak out, because yeah, they had the most annoying robotic voices when they spoke. Tigra rescues one of them, and their new friendship has been forged. So they end up getting together, and the Robo Bears help them build the cats there. So that jumps forward very, very fast. So everybody's doing their things, having fun in that, and Lion-O being a kid but in an adult's body, still having his frustrations, learning how to be a leader. Again, more chocolate milk ads. We got Nestle's Quick again. Everybody remembers the Transformers are in that. At the same time, the GoBots are around. I don't remember the GoBots too much. I was more of a Transformers guy, but whatever, each their own. Again, lots of candy ads in here. All these candy ads and all these different things. Again, you had to get wrappers and send away for cool things. You got a cheap, crappy watch here, but again, you would have been pretty cool if you showed up on the playground and you had a sugar daddy watch, so that's kind of neat. Again, here the comic, we see that everybody's just exploring the new planet that they're in. Lion-O eats a berry that everyone else says you shouldn't eat those berries because you don't know what's going on this planet. We're foreigners here that could make you sick. And Lion-O's like, oh, one berry won't hurt me. He thinks he's kind of immortal now because he's an adult. And then it switches over here to a different view. And this is where the Castle Plundar, where the mutants have all taken up hold. So they're in there setting up their new and finishing up building their new base in that. And they just show how mean and they terrorize people. They have slaves, taken slaves from the people of the planet here and using them for work and that. And now we see again like I mentioned, Lionel is starting to get sick from eating these berries and that. So they end up summoning the other Thundercats because of these berries that made him sick. And then they use the knowledge of the Robo Bears to help find a cure for them. So we see Mumra for the first time ever in his Mumra form here. That's pretty cool. We're seeing the transformation. And again, great artwork in here. This series lasted for 24 issues, one of the longer ongoing series in the Star Comics and that, so really enjoyed that. Like I was mentioning before, everything was neon and glow in the dark before. Always tons of posters and that you could send away for. Again, Lionel, learning his lesson, speaking with Jaga. This is Misty. We'll be covering their comics. She was like the Star's version of Barbie, basically. So, all right, that is issue 2. Issue 3. We got Pantro taking on the Rockmen. I don't know if anyone actually remembers that issue. I watched the TV series just recently in that because, like I said, with Dynamite starting up their new reboot of the series of Thundercats comics, I've been kind of getting back into it. We see Pandra doing some exploring and he finds a woman that's being harassed by these rock people and he intervenes and saves them. So we got the introduction of the hoverboards that the twins here use. And Pantro and this woman are hiding out and trapped in a cave while these rock people are still outside attacking. So everybody else starts noticing that they're missing and they're going to go start looking for them. But during the meantime, Pantro learns the history of this woman and why they are attacking her and her village woman warriors. So Lionel gets trapped as well when he's looking for them and eventually has to use the sword to call everybody out. So before everybody else can get there, Pantro ends up using some of his ingenuity and some of the powers from this woman to escape these people and break out. And Lionel does the same of his own. So happy ending for all. I remember these posters definitely at my local comic book store as a kid. I definitely remember these when they came out. So, all right, on to the next issue. Issue 4. We have Lionel coming across a new character. I believe her name is Calica. Same old growing pains of Lionel. Jaga giving him some advice in that. Again, very much like Obi-Wan Kenobi helping out a young Luke Skywalker. This kind of combination of this and He-Man. These mushrooms end up putting Pantro to sleep. And Chintera gets knocked out. Seems like everybody's kind of knocking off the Thundercats one by one. Oh, sorry, her name is Lynxana the Hunter. Oh, that Calica, that's in the new Dynamite one. My mistake, I'm mixing up my Thundercats. Yeah, this woman here is a Thundercat. Her name is Lynxana the Hunter, and that's what she's been doing. She's been hunting down these Thundercats. So we get her background story here. And again, the sword saves the day. Again, that Oreo ad. I just wonder how many people, especially kids, actually took a pen or a pencil and drew in their comic, wrecking it, to do this ad, to finish that maze. All right, we find out that the ghost of Jaga that's been helping or guiding Lionel along this episode was actually Mumra in disguise. So we see that a few times throughout the series, Mumra using disguises to try to trick people and deceive them. And again, the Eye of Thunder saves the day. Madballs, that'll definitely be one of the books we cover. All right. Issue 5. Still more with that Lexana. Kind of takes off, continuing right where the last issue left off. See, again, more candy wrappers and USB things, UPS points, and you're going to get a free thing. This time you're going to get this awesome headphone radio, which I'm sure was of the highest quality. Bonkers ads, I mentioned those a little bit earlier. Those were huge in the 80s. We see Lionel here has been captured by this Lexana, and she has set him free. So apparently that was kind of like their trap to get inside. The rest of the Thundercats get in, and they start working their way through. They escape the castle. Lots of action in these books. That was always great. Did any of you ever have the Thunder Tank as a kid? I didn't know too many kids that even had too many of the Thundercats toys, because they either had G.I. Joe or He-Man. There was a few kids I know that had that, but nobody I know ever had the tank or the cat's lair as well, which is one of the coolest structures around for a kid's toy thing in the 80s. Spider-Ham is definitely going to be one that we're going to be looking at. I love that cover there. I bought that off the newsstand when I was a kid. Very sentimental to me. We have a giant ghostly Mumra that's attacking the castle, and he blows up Castle Plundar. And it says to be continued. So let's jump into that next issue and see what happens. As you can see here, another one of these action covers here that really draws kids in, not to mention myself as well. So you got that giant Mumra that we saw at the end of last issue. And then we find out that, again, once Mumra is a liar and a master of illusion, that the castle is still there. That was just an illusion that he blew it up. So they continue fighting the mutants in that. And there again is the giant Mumra. But this time it seems like he's solid and he's going to start fighting them. So cool character. Who did you think was better, Mumra or Skeletor? They approach the Mumra's temple there, and they all start attacking it. And the giant Mumra, who shows up as well. A few of them use the tank to burrow into the temple, while the others fight Mumra outside as a distraction. And then they confront the gods that give Mumra his power, the evil gods. And end up defeating them, freeing Jaga, who was captured inside there by Mumra. Again, another one of these things I was talking about earlier, a subscription thing. Those are pretty cool to see what books were around and how much they cost back then. And everybody says goodbye and goes their separate ways again. All right, issue 7. There's a flood. They're helping out their fellow Third Earthians now. And again, Lionel's torn up about something. He's missing Thundera because he was such a youngster he can barely remember when they left. And again, now they're encountered by a new race of people. These were always fun to see in comics as a kid. the new comic or the new cartoon season be coming up, and every channel would have an advertisement like this showing what they showed on there. So always fun. All right, this new race seems like they're trying to kill the Thundercats there as they work with these natives. More action and adventure. I always thought it was so funny that Panthro's nunchucks had claws on the end. And as usual, they find out that it's best to friends help friends and family. So. All right. I always thought this here was an homage to the old Spider-Man cover. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I think it was an homage to the old Spider-Man cover, him holding back the water. But this is Lionel kind of doing something similar in that, pulling himself together, overcoming doubts and that to save the day. So we have the Thundercats competing in games in that here. And everybody starts getting concerned about this crystal. This crystal that Sly seems to have now. The Thunder Twins end up escaping their traps there, and then they escape the castle themselves, and everybody gets back then, and not only do they save the day, they get their home base back. So I totally remember that episode watching it. So can you imagine this? And this is an American prices back then too, so bear that in mind too. You got 14 issues of a comic for only $8 back then, delivered to your door. That is insane. Nowadays, I don't even $8 won't even get you, barely one comic. Issue 9, Lionel's gone mad. So it looks like Lionel's going to end up confronting one of the other kings of the planet that have people on the planet there. These rock people. That person was hurt as they were spying on Lionel, and they take that as an offense to them, so they're going after him. And they end up jumping Chitara while she's taking a shower there. So, classy guys. All these rock people are trying to take out the other Thundercats, again, because they have beef with Lionel. And in the end, it all ends up getting worked out. Usually it has things like this go, it's just a misunderstanding. All right. That was definitely an episode I remember watching. All right. Issue 10. Graveyard of Memories. Still the same artwork, still pretty faithful, lots of great detail and colors in that. So if you were playing with the toys or watching the cartoons as the kid, you would definitely enjoy all of this. Excellent. All right. Number 11, this is with the Mole Man. I literally just watched this one like a couple days ago. The Mole Men have come and start trying to capture and kill the Thundercats because Mumra has tricked them into doing it, just like he does almost everybody on the shows. So they end up getting a few of the Thundercats, and as usual, that Thundercat sword, the Eye of Thundera, ends up blowing a hole in the mountain, saving the day, and then they encounter more big bug creatures, which again, it's just Mumra and his magic. So laser tag, there was all kinds of laser tag stuff then. I'm curious, did any of you ever do laser tag? We have Leader of the Mole Men. And as usual, in the 80s hero manner, once you defeated your villain, you became a friend of them and learned to cherish their friendships. All right, we'll look at one more here. We'll look at issue 12, and then we'll look at the other 12 issues in part 2 of our review of Thundercats. So again, we have here the first appearance of the Berserkers. The Berserkers were fun. They were pirates. This race of water people, or they live in the water around the coast and that, they've come to the Thundercats for help because they're always being raided by the Berserkers. Horak the axe welder is their leader. And I definitely remember the Horak's action figure as a kid. He was a big, bulky looking figure that had an axe, just like a Viking pirate. So we're about to encounter him right here. There he is, all in gray armor. He almost looked like a bull, I thought, with that fur or that beard around his face and that, like a minotaur. But we see them, and the Thundercats are fighting pirates and that. He shows up quite a few times throughout the series, and in the cartoons as well, multiple times. As a ghost even at one point in the cartoons. So here the Berserkers are attacking the village. And we find out that they are peaceful people and they will not defend themselves, so the Thundercats have to do it for them. All right. And a great way to end off here, we can see this nice ad for the All-Star Comics here. And you can see this is just a small little page here. They had tons and tons of IPs for all that. So we'll definitely look at more of them. Until then, we'll see you later for more reviews of the Thundercats.